Stevenson, and this is Mandy Barnum, and we are the co-presidents of the Huntington Classroom Teachers Association. And we just want to thank each of the candidates for being here this evening. We thought that this would be a great way for us just to open up, since we have so many people running, just to hear what your thoughts are and give the voters a chance to hear what your stance is and kind of what your thoughts are on the state of Huntington County Community Schools. So just to give you, I know that Mr. Bordeaux came up and let you guys know kind of the format, but also just to let the audience and live stream people know what the format's going to be and just a little information about this evening. So what we're going to do is we have a list of questions. We're going to start by asking those questions, and you will have 1 minute to answer. Matt Stevenson is over here. He's keeping time. When you have about 5 seconds left, he'll hold up a hand. Just to let you know, we're not going to be muting microphones or anything, but we do ask that you be respectful of that just because there are so many candidates that we want to hear from. And then we will just stagger who we are asking the questions of first. The other thing is, I know you know, but just to reiterate, when you're ready to speak, just press until it's green, and then you should be good to go. And then turn it off when you're done. So our first question this evening is to please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you. So we will start over here with Kathy Schock-Swingle from District 4.
Good evening. I was born and raised here in Huntington County with a 20-year absent because my husband's job took us out of town, and then we came straight back. We raised 3 successful sons. We have been in foster care, been foster parents for several years, and I basically, since I didn't have an extended education, but I do know how to balance books and I do know how to make things work. So that's what I bring.
David Van Gorder, District 1.
Good evening. Thank you for hosting this. My name is Dave Van Gorder, District 1. Moved here to Huntington in 2020 in the middle of COVID. I have 3 kids, one in elementary school, one in middle school, one in high school. So I have seen firsthand a lot of the nuance that comes with having children in all facets of the schools here. I am educated in accounting and finance from IU. I've been working in accounting for 20 years, in the healthcare field for about the last 5 years, and I also do consulting. Thank you.
Aaron Carl, District 6.
Good evening. My name is Aaron Carl. I am married and father of 4. I have one who graduated in May and is off to college now. I have the other 3 are in 9th, 7th, and 2nd grade. I was born and raised in Huntington. I'm a land surveyor, civil engineer, and construction manager. My career experience will be beneficial to the school board and help review construction and maintenance to keep down unnecessary costs.
Curtis Hines, District 1.
Hello. Curtis Ray Hines. I grew up on a farm in Jackson Township, lived in Jackson Township my whole life. Graduated from this high school in 1996. I also taught here for 20 years, coached here for 18. I'm pretty familiar with this district and this building in particular. So.
Mike Richard, District 6.
Thanks for hosting this. Mike Richard. I am born and raised in Huntington. I lived here for 20 years, graduated from Huntington North in 1993, went on to Huntington College before I went into the U.S. Air Force, and that took me away between that and federal contracting over a 19-20 year period. I've got 2 daughters that are 15 and 13 that go to Huntington North and Riverview currently. I just want to get back to what I was given here in the district and what I was brought up on, and see some of that rejuvenated back into the community with the the assets that we have available to us. I think we're underutilizing a lot of it, and we need to take a look at that and move forward. But thanks again.
Tim Allen, District 4.
I'm Tim Allen. I am born and raised in Huntington, married with 3 children. They all have 2 kids, so I have 6 grandchildren. I've been involved with the schools since my oldest daughter was kindergartner at Lancaster in 1992. I volunteered there, I still do, at all of the different schools in the county. Stayed connected to the schools through most of my life, in particularly when I was sports director at the YMCA. I am currently the Director of Dispatch for Huntington County Public Safety. We dispatch for police and fire and emergency medical conditions. Proud of what we've done so far as a board and hope we continue.
Matt Melcher, District 1.
Hi, I'm Matt Melcher, born and raised in Huntington County. We sent 3 kids through the Huntington County Community School Corporation. This will be my 3rd term on the school board, and that's it.
Ryan Wall, District 7.
My name is Ryan Wall. On the ballot, you'll see it as James Ryan Wall because that's the name my parents gave me, but then they soon started just calling me Ryan, so there's a long history about that. But born and raised here in Huntington, married to my wife, who both of us graduated from this building in 1996 with Curtis back in the day. Have 2 kids that went through the school corporation. I am ending my 1st term on the school board, but I have actually ran for school board multiple times and was lucky enough to be elected the last 4 years ago. Long career working in government before I went to the private sector. And then once I went to the private sector, the ability to run for the board came available, and that's where I am. So.
Thank you. Okay, so our second question is, what do you see as the primary work of a board member? And we'll go ahead, Ryan, we'll start with you since we ended with you last time. So Ryan Wall from District 7.
So clarify, primary job of a board member? Cool. So the primary job of a board member, we really have one person that we hire, and that's the superintendent, and then he puts the policies and procedures that we put in place as a board into effect. We have financial oversight, but we also have just the general ability to understand what's going on in the corporation. We set a vision, we set a goal, and then we make sure that the superintendent and his designees make sure that that happens.
Thank you. Matt Melcher, District 1.
I don't really have too much more to add to what Ryan said. That's exactly what a board does. We just oversee the superintendent and make sure that he's doing what the board's wishes are, and that's about it.
Tim Allen from District 4.
I guess I would just add that the connections we have inside the community, I think, help guide what the board does. We bring those ideas to the superintendent. Mr. Wall is absolutely correct. We do oversee and hire and fire the superintendent, but the ears that we have inside the community, that we can bring things back to the table and hopefully bring good ideas and remind the superintendent and the administration what their jobs are. And so oversight of that, I think, is as important as about anything.
Mike Richard, District 6.
I believe working with the community is key. Your constituents, the taxpayers that are electing these positions, doing what they're requesting, overseeing that, making sure that's being carried out to the best of its knowledge, working with the superintendent along with working with the classrooms and the teachers, having an open door policy and acting as a facilitator where needed, and bringing that cohesive unit together with everyone.
Curtis Hines, District 1.
Yeah, first off, I I would be a representative of the people of District 1, their thoughts, their ideas and concerns. Secondly, I'd be a person that would hold the superintendent accountable and the powers that be for the corporation, making sure that dollars were spent wisely and that decisions were made very, very well. So that's it.
Aaron Carl, District 6.
Right now, the policy is to oversee, make the policies and oversee the superintendent. My goal would be to be a little more hands-on and be able to help, be able to have conversations with the community, with the teachers, with students, and actually expand what the board does and not just make the policies, but help guide how we're going to do things in the future.
David Van Gorder, District 1.
So, primary job of a board member is to bring oversight to the district and representing, again, our taxpayers, our teachers, parents, students, all our stakeholders, and making sure that all information that has been processed by the board is available and is transparent to the public to understand why the district made the decisions that they did, and if there are questions, be that point of contact to the community to represent the taxpayer.
Kathy Schock-Swingle, District 4.
I think all these people have said pretty much everything that's going to be said, but I think that along with everything that we have to be mindful of how we spend the taxpayers' money. That's one thing that we can work on as a team. And bring new ideas to the superintendent and see if we can't get those implemented.
Okay, thank you. Our next question, and we're going to start with you, Mr. Van Gorder. What do you see as the role of the board in relationship to teachers?
So the board in relationship to teachers we are an avenue, a tool for the teachers to use to get things that are important to them addressed through the board, through the superintendent, to make sure that things are voted on and at least given visibility to teacher concerns. And this goes with the union negotiations, this goes with anything with any teacher board interaction.
Aaron Carl, District 6.
Can you repeat the?
Sure. What do you see as the role of the board in relationship to teachers?
And the board with the relationship of the teachers is, as Mr. Van Gorder was saying, it should be open. We should be having open communication. The way I run my department, my business is, we all discuss things. If more people discuss what's going on, there are opportunities for better solutions. If we're not doing that, I think we're failing the system. So.
Curtis Hines, District 1.
Excuse me. Yeah, I think it's the responsibility or the expectation of a board member to be approachable. And I think that anybody who has a concern or an issue should feel as though they should be able to approach a board member, especially if that person is in the district of that board member. And that would include teachers or anybody else. As far as the responsibility of the board member, it's their responsibility to listen. Listen and pay attention. Maybe they don't offer any input, but then they can take that information that they've gotten and they can go get an answer from somebody who might be able to give it to them. for sure, it's important for the board members to be open to allowing people to come and talk to them and raise concerns. So,
Mike Richard, District 6.
I'll go back to the last statement that I made. I believe there needs to be an open door policy between board members, teachers, administration. So we're all doing what's in the best interest of the child, first and foremost in the corporation, and then the taxpayers also. But the teacher should have no fear of anything with the board member. They should be able to have open and honest communications, transparency. Anything they would like to discuss shouldn't be an issue. It should be encouraged.
Tim Allen, District 4.
I mean, I'd just reiterate what they said. I think the open doors and certainly being able to be approachable and be someone that the teachers feel comfortable reaching out to is important. We are just another link in that chain. The teachers' efforts in the classroom have always, I think, been supported by the board, at least certainly in the time that I've served on the board. They really are the ones that guide our young people and move them on. And any way we can support them has always been really important. Certainly as long as I've been on the board, it's been, if not the highest thing, certainly near the top. So there's always room for improvement, but we've tried to be, I think, open and honest about the decisions we make, and I know we'll continue to do that.
Matt Melcher, District 1.
Pretty much everybody's pretty much hit all the key points. But, hopefully we've placed the right administrators and stuff that a teacher would get their answers before they would come to the board. I mean, technically the board should be the last point of contact. Your building administrators, your assistant superintendents, there's a certain chain of command, but as always, a board member should have open ears and be willing to listen and, give their thoughts and ideas, but ultimately they should push them towards the chain of command first. And hopefully it doesn't end up at the board.
Ryan Wall, District 7.
So I'm going to expand that just a little bit on your question. I feel that there should be open communication, just like everyone has said, but I also think that we shouldn't forget about the other classes of employees that we have here. That includes the bus drivers, the paras, and the lunch people, and all that. So we should be that open conduit, just like everyone has said. And if that's a facilitator, if we're the facilitator to say, hey, great, I listened to you, but reminder, I'm one of 7 on the school board. I only have a 1/7 of a vote, and I really don't have any power when it's outside of the boardroom. But we can then direct them to whoever they need to talk to. If that means, go talk to your building administrator and let me know how it goes, things like that. But we need to be that facilitator to help them understand that and help all of the employees at the corporation, because we are one of the largest employers in the county. So we should be able to help out and be that facilitation, but also be the ears like everyone has said. So.
Kathy Schock-Swingle, District 4.
My main theme of wanting to be a board member is education, education, education. And that means having a good relationship with our fellow teachers and parents and the kids. You got to, you want the kids involved. And as, just work together willingly and not fight each other back and forth. Thank you.
What knowledge or skills, sorry. People running in this race have said a lot about transparency. What does a transparent school board look like in your opinion? And we will start with Matt Melcher from District 1 this time.
I feel like there's always room for more transparency. As everybody can see that we have board docs, and board docs is an awesome tool. And the great thing about it is anybody can go on board docs right now and they can go back in and they can look back in 2015 and see if Matt Melcher was at a school board meeting. And you can look at the agenda, you can look everything. If anybody's ever been to a school board meeting, you get a piece of paper in the back and that gives you the agenda, and it doesn't really give you much, but it gives you a little bit. You go to board docs and you can see so much more. I mean, it's been a big changer for us. So there's always room for more transparency, but I think we're getting a lot better than what we used to be.
Tim Allen from District 4.
Mr. Melcher I think he's correct. I know that we have done everything as much as we believe we can, being transparent about the things that we do. Certainly, every decision that we make is available if you're willing to put in the efforts to find it. If you cannot find it and you ask for it, we provide, as long as it's been something that we are allowed to talk about. I mean, there are things that board members are not allowed to talk about. Let's not think that it's just as simple as announcing what we just did in detail. As Matt said, I think there is room for improvement in everything. We are always considering better ways that we can make sure that the public's aware of what's happening. But the efforts that we've made so far, I think, are in the right direction, and I think we're going to continue that.
Mike Richard, District 6.
I believe transparency is going to be key in all that you do in a public setting with the agendas that are put out and with all the information available, with the history of it going back. Mr. Melcher said to the board docs, if you can't find an answer in those documents, being able to talk to any of the board members, administration, to go back and get the answer to your question. And if I'm that person, I will find the answer for you and see what we need to do with that. And again, understanding that some things will be transparent, other things are covered by other regulations that you cannot talk about, obviously, with laws and things like that. But at the same point, everything needs to be an open book if it's part of a public forum.
Curtis Hines, District 1.
Yeah, well, I think the live streams, the website, these are all really good things. I think that's a step in the right direction. As I said before, and these guys are right, I mean, there's some things people can't talk about. But I think that the things that people can talk about, they ought to. And I don't think it should be a secret or anything like that. So, I mean, it's a community, and the community sometimes has questions. So, that's...
Aaron Carl, District 6.
I think the transparency policy, as far as most people are looking at it, is with the financial side of it. Whenever there's a large project, it would be a good idea to put out a small report, say, we looked at these different avenues. This is the best choice that we found, and it makes people understand it a little bit more. When you go through it with someone that doesn't do this all the time, it's very hard to understand. I look at these construction documents and that type of stuff all the time, and if they don't understand what you're talking about, then it's if you have a summary and kind of just explain it, it goes a long way. So.
David Van Gorder, District 1.
So I think there is a misconception of transparency in terms of how things are reported. Things are reported in terms of compliance, and compliance does not equal transparency. When I attend all these board meetings, I feel longing for more information, especially around costs, that would be very easy to put into the discussion as well. And we also need to educate all stakeholders in their different levels of understanding, like Mr. Carl said. That will go a long way in having a sense of acceptance and overall success of any projects. And also, we need to do a better job of presenting data. We throw numbers and things on the wall, and it's very hard to see what sticks.
Kathy Schock-Swingle from District 4.
Dave took my answer. It's important to be open and approachable, and I think what Aaron said about making the documents of when we spend money and what projects we're on, make them a little more readable to some people. People that read them all the time think they're easy, and lots of people aren't. And I agree with the live streaming, because there's been lots of times I didn't make it to the meeting, but I did get to watch it later. So I agree with that. That's been a really good thing. Thank you.
Archie Lentz, did you hear the question? Do you want me to repeat it?
First of all, I apologize for being late. I had a medical appointment in Warsaw I could not get out of, so I apologize for that. And it's embarrassing to come late, but this was important for me to show respect for you all and be here and say what I can. So, yes, would you repeat the question, please?
People running in this race have said a lot about transparency. What does a transparent school board look like in your opinion?
I couldn't hear her. What'd she say?
She's asking about transparency and what you think transparency looks like.
Okay, it's another stock phrase that everybody uses, transparency. To me, it amounts to communication. And I would say communication with other school board members and educators and teachers, horizontally, vertically, with the administrators, and also with my constituents should I be elected. In other words, communication in all directions. I think that's the path to letting people know what's going on. I need to find out, and I need to be able to communicate that to my constituents.
Ryan Wall, District 7.
So I'm going to hit on a key points of a couple of the people here. So I think the school board tries to do its best, but there's always rooms for improvement. And I think continued questions, not only from the public, but also looking around and seeing what other districts are doing is an important thing. I, for one, love board docs, but if you've ever tried to search in board docs, you understand that that is not the greatest thing in the world to search on. And I know that's an issue, and I know we've talked about it, and I know there's a new version of board docs coming out not too soon, and that's one of the key features of it that's coming out. So I think constant communication is a good thing, like several of them have said. So again, just continue to ask, and as new ideas are out there all the time, and we listen and learn and try to hear what's going on.
Thank you all. So I'm going to direct my next question, starting with Aaron Carl. And the question is, could you support a decision that you voted against but was ultimately approved by the rest of the board, and explain? So we'll start with Aaron Carl from District 6.
I can always support. I mean, if it's not a unanimous decision, you still need to support the people that are with you. Regardless, when you're on the other side and you say I voted no and everybody voted yes, maybe what I would do is get more involved with the project to see it to come out the best that it could possibly come out. If everybody's going to disagree, nobody's ever going to agree on the same thing all the time. And if you can support it by getting behind it and finding better ways to push it forward as it goes, that's the best that you can do. So.
Curtis Hines, District 1.
Yeah, I'll reiterate that exact point. You're not going to be on the winning side every time, and when you're not, it's important that you still participate, that you don't try to usurp what's going on. It's not in the best interest of the corporation. It's also not in the best interest of the people that elected you. So your responsibility, if you lose, your responsibility is to get on board and as Mr. Carl said, try to push it in a direction that is as palatable as possible.
Mike Richard, District 6.
Again, I'll agree with both of what they said with getting on board, but in the same sense, before it's even brought to the board for a vote, 9 times out of 10, what I've witnessed and experienced in the last 10 years with the boards here is everyone discusses it. If there is an issue, it's brought up and it's fine-tuned to that point. So I think open discussion is always key, and if it were my idea, it was voted down, I would jump on board and try to be behind it, understand what it is, where can I improve it, what can I do to make it happen better, worse. But again, I think a lot of it's done prior to it even being brought to a vote.
Tim Allen, District 4.
Mr. Richard is correct when it comes to how things are decided on board level. There are disagreements. Nearly on every topic, there are disagreements. I think respect for one another brings us a little closer together every time that we have one of those. And as you said, it's true. We usually don't end up on one side or the other. We end up in the middle. And that is usually the most productive way to get what needs to get things moving forward with school corporation. We can't afford to sit around and not make decisions. And so if it goes against you, you still have to make the decision. I mean, let's face it, the only bad decision is not a decision. So it's easy to respect your people.
Matt Melcher, District 1.
Yeah, so there's been many times I've not necessarily supported the decision, but yet I went along with it just because the good of the group. And I think it's important to understand that, just because Matt Melcher's opinion may differ from Tim Allen's opinion, that in the long term, what's best for the kids, what's best for the staff, what's best for, whoever we're dealing with is the ultimate goal.
Ryan Wall, District 7.
I think everyone's kind of hit on this, but in the grand scheme of things, it's all about doing good governance and you being that officiator of that governance. So we're not all going to agree on everything. That's the nice thing. I think what the superintendent has initiated with the work sessions, so you can hear those conversations, has been a good thing. That goes to transparency, and that also goes to see how that process changes. For lack of a better term, see how the sausage is made in that process. And what you usually find out when you go through that process is you see that the initial discussion is not how it ends up, because we all bring the 7 different ideas to that, including other ideas from the teachers and the staff, because it's not in a vacuum, because something will come up in a work session and we'll say something, we'll suggestions, and then other people talk to the administration and other things like that, and it usually comes out really well. And I could keep talking on this, but I'm going to stop there, but that's good.
Thank you. Archie Lentz, District 6.
Yes, when I went to the prospective board member orientation, we got a booklet, 100 and some pages. And what struck me about it, just reading through it quickly, was that it promotes congeniality with each other and getting along and going along. And that's all well and fine, assuming that there's been a thorough discussion. But we were not appointed, we were elected by citizens in our district. So I would be looking to vote the way that I think my constituents would want me to vote, and I believe they would want me to vote my conscience. So I would have no trouble voting no anytime that it's necessary. But I think it's important, of course, to listen to everybody as well. Thank you.
Kathy Schock-Swingle, District 4.
Thank you. As world goes, there's a lot of compromises that have to be made. And just because you have one opinion doesn't mean that somebody else doesn't have a different opinion. And what I would do would be research more after, like, my comment was turned down. And as being a wife for 52 years and mother of 3 sons and no girls, I know what compromise is. Thank you.
David Van Gorder, District 1.
Superintendent Trout has a policy of basically managing from the middle. What can you live with? And I feel like that is a good way to represent the board. And if there is something that I don't agree with, I will vote it down. But if I do not win in that motion, I will fully support and try to execute that decision to the best of my ability, just for the good of the district. I have no ego here. If I lose, I'm still going to support the board.
Thank you all. The next question is fiscally, what has the corporation done well? And then conversely, what is your biggest concern? And to explain. We're going to start with Tim Allen from District 4.
Well, I think one thing I've been fortunate to sit on a board that has done a lot. We've invested a lot of money into the schools. We had aging infrastructure. We've tried to address those things. We have certainly encouraged the administration to work to raise teachers' wages. That is always a challenge because we have competition, obviously, in our backyard. That is probably the biggest challenge. I think our successes are and what we've done to try to build up our infrastructure, which was I mean, let's face it, this school is a great example. We've invested millions of dollars as it is, and we're a far cry from being finished. But there is a commitment to getting this fixed.
Mike Richard, District 6.
So I think we've got some very outstanding facilities, infrastructure-wise. There is room for improvement to do a proper checks and balances, to look at everything from the ground up. And I believe that has started currently in the last couple of years. They're starting to review those more eagle-eyed than they were in the past. Moving forward, I think there needs to be more emphasis put on that checks and balances against the need versus the wants of the district. If it ultimately, what is it going to be? How is this successful for the student in the end? So, thank you.
Curtis Hines, District 1.
Yeah, I be delicate how I say this. I would say that our corporation, and it's not necessarily presently, but it has a history of not doing very good things with money. And the people of the community, county, are aware of that. Now, I'm not speaking specifically to what is happening necessarily right now with the buildings and the facilities, and there was a big facility stink over Krigbaum Field. People were very upset in the community. I mean, these are things that take a toll on a corporation, and it's very important for people to be upfront and honest about what's going on.
Aaron Carl, District 6.
Fiscally, I'm going to cover the bad things first. Is the reports that come out every month and tell you where you're at. They're very hard to interpret. If we could figure out a way to do those in a manner that were more understandable, I think Mr. Van Gorder has some excellent ideas for what thoughts he has on those. The money issues that we've had, that was not good. But the good things are, and this is part of the communication thing for transparency, is a lot of people don't understand how much monies are awarded through grants for the different structures and athletic things. And the structures are good, so
David Van Gorder, District 1.
So the good parts first, echoing the infrastructure, I've seen a really positive change to this building in particular, and I think they are doing a very good job. Echoing grants, they've hired a grant writer and been awarded well over $500,000 of grants, and that is free money, doesn't cost the taxpayers anything. They've also worked to increase teacher pay, although it still falls behind neighboring districts. I feel like we can do a better job there. For the negatives, financial oversight. This board, minus one person, oversaw $500,000 walking out the door, and it could have been prevented. And safeguards need to be put in place, and those safeguards need to be adhered to, and compliance to those safeguards needs to be done.
Kathy Schock-Swingle, District 4.
Well, let me see if I can think of something else. In the last 2 years, they have learned a lot and took a lot of hits, not totally their fault, but some of it, yes, it was. And right now, with Terry Thornsberry heading the improvements onto the school and updating everything, was the best decision they could have made, because he's doing a wonderful job. And just to maintain that you're using the taxpayers' money, and you've got to know where that is and what it's being used for. Thank you.
Archie Lentz, District 6.
Understanding the question to be, what are we doing well and what are we weak in? Is that correct? I was at the Learning Center recently and given a tour, and it is spectacular what they're doing with the type of young people who like hands-on and practical work, the type of citizens that we want to see coming out of our schools to be a part of our community. That's more important than the academic effort to put everybody in a university, many of which are diploma mills. Unless you need a license, such as a teaching or a doctorate, there's no reason to go to a university. And I think that the proportion of a huge amount of people are pushed towards universities, wrong. We need more people doing the learning center type of activity. Another thing that we need to work on is physical education. Half of life is physical, but there's nothing much about it in here.
Ryan Wall, District 7.
So when I started on the board, if you compare the financial information that we gave out when I started 4 years ago to now, I think that you see a growth in there. Some of that is coming out of education and asking for stuff. So one of the things I've been a big proponent of is following the Indiana School Board Association's manual on fiscal accountability that the ISBA puts out. That has helped drive some of that. As a matter of fact, continued pushing the administration to continue to follow that. The last board meeting, actually, we got a report that I've been asking for several years, finally, that showed how much money the corporation has, and it actually surprised me how much money that we have under control of, because I only thought we had to deal with the tax funds that we have, but come to find out there's a lot more out there that we need to be aware of. So,
Matt Melcher, District 1.
So I could go on and on about this longer than a minute, but I think one of the greatest things that we've got going right now for us is probably one of the best administration teams that I've seen anywhere around. And another great thing is the teacher's contract. I mean, for the first time that I know of, and maybe ever, we're not doing a teacher's contract this year. You know, we can work on our teacher's contract this year for next year, and we're not waiting until October or however late in the school year to deal with a teacher's contract. We've got more time. Just the things we've done here at the high school, the things we've done with Veridian on maintenance plans for the whole corporation as a whole. Like I said, I could go on and on.
I apologize. I thought Mr. Allen still needed to answer. Okay. Our next question is, aside from finances, what do you think the corporation is doing well? So finances aside, what do you think the corporation is doing well? And we're going to start with Curtis Hines from District 1.
Well, I think for the most part, Huntington has good classroom teachers. You know, I happened to be one for 20 years in this building, and I knew a lot of the people that were in there, and the students, I think, appreciated the work that they put in. I think that, you know, the changes in this building are awfully good. I think these are huge steps in the right direction. Other things that the corporation is doing well, I would say that the facilities outside are very nice. It's just how they came to be that upset some people. So, but those are all things I think that are positive. So.
Mike Richard, District 6.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question one?
Absolutely. Aside from finances, what do you think the corporation is doing well?
I think Mr. Hines hit it. The infrastructure that we've seen, the improvements on this cafeteria is a good example of that. The field house, the gym, the auditorium here at the high school alone, state-of-the-art facilities, a lot of schools would die for in these areas. We've seen that benefit, the Learning Center, the different robotics programs, having all of that, being able to be instrumental through the corporation. The elementaries and middle schools, I think we could do a better job on some of the infrastructures and cleaning those buildings up some and helping out and doing that same level that we've done up here, but at the lower levels also.
Tim Allen, District 4.
I'll just reiterate Mr. Lentz brought up the Learning Center first. I think he's exactly right. The Learning Center has been a real beacon for Huntington. Everybody around us would like to have a Learning Center and would like to have the type of offerings that we offer there. But I don't want to stop there. I mean, let's be honest. Our teachers are our greatest resource. They are the ones that are responsible for those children 7-8 hours a day. I know you guys take it very, very seriously. Well, it's easy to get emotional and passionate about things like that because I see it firsthand quite often, and I'm just here to help support that.
Matt Melcher, District 1.
Most of it's already been said, but strategic planning's been huge. That's been a big thing that's really helped gear a lot of things that have come to fruition. You know, our graduation rate is gradually increasing. It's on the up climb. Same with testing scores and our district maintenance plans.
Ryan Wall, District 7.
I'm going to focus on two individual programs. I think it's been said, but I think what Principal Drummond's doing over at the Learning Center is second to none throughout the state. Every time I have a chance to talk about the Learning Center to anyone, it's an unknown jewel here in the county, let alone throughout the state. And every time I have an opportunity to talk about, I love talking about that. And then I think the robotics program also, the vision that Superintendent Doherty had when he started expanding it not only to the elementaries but middle school and high school, it's been a great thing. Having programs go to the state and national level in their first couple of years, and then also having the state superintendent of education talk about the fact that Indiana has one of the largest robotics programs in the world is a good thing. So,
Archie Lentz, District 6.
I've already spoken favorably about the Learning Center, which was prominent with me. In the process of learning about our corporation and working to be involved with school board, I've come in contact with outstanding administrators, and at school board meetings, outstanding teachers that have come before them that I've been very impressed with. I would say, I hesitate to say this because I hate to sound too complimentary in some ways, but we have right now in our superintendent one of the finest educators and leaders that you will ever meet in a search of 100 years. I know him from his administration in Whitley County, and I did want to say that we have great administrators. There is a problem, though. Okay, thank you.
Kathy Schock-Swingle, District 4.
Thank you. I'll say this. I know they've all been singing the praises of the Learning Center, and I would 1,000% agree with that. But it's been too long for them to get back into that. I had nephews that had to be bused to Wabash to get any vocational training. And what they've done with the Learning Center is beyond successful. And I just hope it keeps up that way. And just like everything else the kids are in, band, choir, robotics, all these clubs, we have to support them. We have to lift them up and just do the best we can for them.
David Van Gorder, District 1.
So I'll echo infrastructure, learning center. I want to really emphasize the passionate teachers, paras, support staff. A real good shout out to the transportation department who has not had a missed route, at least since I've been here in the last 4 years. And that has plagued other districts to have families find their own transportation to and from school. And these guys are in the largest county, like land-wise, and they do a fantastic job. So big shout out to them. From the administration, moving to their own CTE district so that Learning Center can grow and not be have their hands tied by other districts and really be able to create their own destiny.
Aaron Carl, District 6.
I'm going some of the best things that we've got going on are our teachers, our administration, all of the people that work in the school system, the bus drivers. We're doing great things now with the infrastructure, and that's the stuff that I do for a living, and we're doing a great job with that. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Learning Center. I've actually got a tour scheduled there on Wednesday and a discussion to have. I think they're doing great things. There's a lot more that we can do, and regardless of whether I win or not, I am going to continue to push forward for that. I'd like to see a relationship with the community, the local businesses, and get more kids out with hands-on experience prior to being able to graduation. I think it'll do nothing but great things for our community as a whole. So I really enjoy and want to get there. So.
What do you believe is the school's role in navigating the social, emotional well-being of students? So we ask that you explain your answer. And we're going to start with Mike Richard from District 6.
I believe giving the student the best environment possible with all the tools afforded to us, available to us, whatever the teachers need to help, we should be able to help facilitate that with parents, teachers. If you're not getting what you need for that student to help with the emotional well-being, what do we need to do? Go to the building principal, whatever resources we have available to us. I think that's probably one of the top 3 areas that we need to concentrate in are the physical, emotional, and well-being of the children and the students. So whatever it takes.
Curtis Hines, District 1.
I'll start with structure. There's got to be structure. Having been in this building for 20 years, I can say that schedules changed all the time. There were issues with students in the hallways. There's got to be accountability for students and how they behave, and that's something that building administration needs to take more seriously. As far as accountability in the classroom, I think it would be good to have cameras added to all the classrooms if it's feasible and a teacher is okay with it. I think it should be up to them. That way there's accountability and protection.
Aaron Carl, District 6.
From my personal experience, the social and emotional well-being of the children should be first and foremost. I think we do have a disciplinary policy issue. It seems to me that when someone's getting in trouble, we're not allowed to single them out and make them responsible for their actions, and we're not going to teach them responsibility if we're not doing that. I see a lot of times where a group of kids get in trouble, and there's only one person that took it too far. And it's not helping that student be accountable for their actions. I've heard numerous times from principals that, we've got kids that are guilty by association, and I've even heard one time guilty by association. And so that's something that I would like to see helped out.
David Van Gorder, District 1.
So to support social and emotional learning, I think this goes to supporting mental health. I have kids who come home sometimes and their day at school has really drained them and they need a minute. And so whatever programs are available to help them during the day have worked, and now they're at home, and it's a challenge. And supporting good life skills. My daughter is in JROTC. Chief Blair does a terrific job in advocating self-discipline, life skills, preparing yourself for after you leave this building for the real world.
Kathy Schock-Swingle, District 4.
Okay, we sound like a broken record because we all say the same thing a lot of times. I think the classroom is like number one. The kids can't learn if there's a disruption every 5 minutes. There has to be a way to control that. And like they said, responsibility. If the kids aren't taught responsibility, they're not going to stop doing what they're doing. So that's one of mine.
Archie Lentz, District 6.
Yes, would you be so kind as to repeat the question, please?
Sure. What do you believe is the school's role in navigating the social, emotional well-being of students, and would you please explain?
I'm not sure I heard the last part of that, but if you're talking about the emotional and physical safety of students and what can be done,
Yes, the students' social emotional well-being.
students do need to feel both safe physically and mentally in order to have success in academics or anything else. I taught school for 29 years at the 5th and 6th grade levels. I was able to have as much success with that as you could have, but I don't know if I can extract that to a larger picture. It takes the same three entities to secure this as you have to get student academic success. The parents, the students, and the teachers all have to be involved in addressing those type of issues. What happened in my 5th grade classroom was that if there was a case of students bullying is what you're talking about. Bullying, I think, is a big part of it. So I see my time is about up, but that is a big problem, and there you are. I'm out of time.
Ryan Wall, District 7.
This is an interesting topic because, to be frank, before I got on the board, I'd probably not heard that phrase. To me, it's relatively new. But I go back, I know I heard someone say something about life skills. I think those are important. But I also think we have to realize, too, when that social and emotional connotation sometimes has a negative context nationally. But I think we have to realize, too, that the world's changed. I know Curtis and I graduated in 1996, and the kids from then to today are not the same. And I think their home lives may not be the same as they were. So I think that needs to all be thought about and discussed. And I think continuing to educate not only ourselves, the board, and the community about those issues are important. And I think we do a good job, but are we doing the best? I don't know. It's a learning topic for me, and it's one of those things. I know that a topic came up recently, and we did talk about it some more. So,
Matt Melcher, District 1.
There's so many things that go into social and emotional, but it starts at home when your kid leaves at home, to the good morning when they get on the bus, to when they get to school and they're greeted. So it goes everywhere, to the great meals that your kids get a great start to the day, to the bright lights in your classroom, whether it's a dim light, soft music, calming, whatever. But there's so much that goes with the social and emotional. But just great staff. That's about it.
Tim Allen, District 4.
I turn it off. You're right, going last is tough because you do reiterate a lot of the things that you've heard. I'm just going to add that it's a real balancing act, I think, inside the schools between the administration, the teachers, the bus drivers, the cooking staff. I mean, they all are supporting those children. Those children rely on that support. The social and emotional status of a child is very hard to gauge unless you spend a lot of time with them. And the ones that do that are the teachers. And so we need to somehow find a way to come together with that and the parents. That's a difficult balancing act. And it's something we'll talk about, I'm sure, over the next decade to try to figure out how to continue to get better about it.
Okay, we just want to say thank you once again for all of you coming out. We are going to give you 1 minute if you have a closing statement. We'll start with Mr. Lentz and go around. If you have anything that you would like to add that we didn't ask you about, or just that you would like the public to know. So, Mr. Lentz, District 6.
Well, in conclusion, I think I can bring a lot of experience of life. I am 76 years old, and that's something you cannot get from a classroom or a book or YouTube to bear on this. 29 years teaching school, 5th grade level. I've had many other jobs in life. I won't go over them. But I also think there's a daunting problem here, and that is that I was brought up in the township system, and I taught in the last township system that exists in the state of Indiana. It's 92 counties. And that system, there's a little red schoolhouse in Union Township that represents that education control from the bottom up. And now we are at a point where, with the incorporation, where it's basically educational control like in the Communist Manifesto from the top down with the creation of the Department of Public Education. So I think what we can do is pretty much limited in time and scope by that fact, but I'm willing to do what I could.
Kathy Schock-Swingle, District 4.
Thank you, and thank you guys for holding this panel. I think it was a great idea. I love it. I think things we can look into as such as classroom discipline and keeping, if the kids are happy in their class, they're going to pay more attention, they're going to learn. So there might need to be some changes up around in there. And like I said, education's my first and biggest thought. Fiscal responsibility, I take that very seriously when I'm spending someone else's money. Thank you.
David Van Gorder, District 1.
I again want to thank you guys for hosting this. In closing, I'd like to just say I am very proud to have children in this district. I want nothing but the best for all students, all staff, teachers, etc. I was emotionally moved at parent-teacher conference because how involved these teachers are in our kids' lives, and they truly make a difference. And you get the best of my kids because that's what they feel you guys deserve. And so I want to say thank you, and I will work very hard to represent my district and the county to progress this school district further. Thank you.
Aaron Carl, District 6.
Thank you for hosting this tonight. Just like to say, I'd like to be a voice that will stand up for what's right and have open discussions from all sides of the fence, whether it be a student, a parent, a teacher, administrator, to do what's best. Ideas and discussions from all will only make things better. I believe in the main three goals that everybody talked about tonight, parent involvement, transparency, fiscal responsibility. But I'd like to go back to the Learning Center because I think there's a lot of things that we can do with that as far as, what I was talking about with the advancing it. That program can help kids find a career path, get their hands on, and if they decide they don't like it, it's a win because they go to do something else. If they do like it, it's a win because they know what path they want to be on. Employers will benefit. The community will benefit. I believe this is an opportunity that will bring more business to the community as well. And I think of the community, the county, the cities all need to work together in all of this.
Curtis Hines, District 1.
Thanks for having us up here tonight. Appreciate it. It's a good opportunity. When I graduated from Huntington North, I wanted to teach and coach here, and I did. I've had a great time in this corporation. It came to an end, and now I'm teaching somewhere else. But I still want to serve and contribute to the corporation. And being on the board is the best way I think that I can. So the perspective I think that I bring is pretty unique. I don't think there's anybody up here that has, the kind of perspective that I have. So I guess I'll leave it at that.
Mike Richard, District 6.
Thanks again for hosting this evening. I think it's been a great forum for everyone to get to know everyone a little better and the stances and views. I chose to move back here from Dallas, Texas, so my kids could be in this corporation that I went to. And I'm proud that I did that. And I'm happy to see all of the opportunities they've got today, currently. I think we have some of the best educators in the state of Indiana. I think we need to do more to retain those educators, and whatever we can, avenues we can find to help encourage that. Maintain that open door policy, continue with the fiscal responsibility, transparency, and keep in mind, most importantly, this is all for the benefit of the child. Thank you.
Tim Allen, District 4.
Thank you all for attending and for hosting this forum. As the rest of the candidates said, it's important. I commend all the candidates for running for elected position. It's not easy. It takes a lot of courage, and God bless you guys. As far as the work we've done over the last few years, couldn't be prouder of that. Tough decisions were needed to be made. A lot of things were honestly falling apart, and that's something had to be done, and we did it. I think we have a lot of work to do when it comes to teacher compensation. We'll continue to focus on that and supporting them in any way we can.
Matt Melcher, District 1.
Yeah, everybody's pretty much towards the last people, they always get the echo what other people said, but, everybody's pretty much hit on everything, but, we live in a tough district. We're right next to some pretty well-off districts that we're not fortunate with on numbers and stuff, but I think we've done an excellent job in the past few years doing with what we have, and I'm proud of everything we've done, and I'm sure we're going to continue to get better and better, and just keep going with the goals we've set in place.
Ryan Wall, District 7.
I'm the last one, so I get to close it out. First of all, I'd like to thank Amanda, Mandy, and John from HCTA for putting this together. The questions were awesome. The pre-work was great. I think you guys put a lot of effort into it, and I want to make sure you guys get acknowledgement for that. Also, I want to thank the fellow individuals running for elected office. It takes a little bit of courage to get up there and do that, so I commend you all for that too. Now, to me, in the last 30 seconds here, I've been on the board for one term. This is coming to the end of my first term. And to tell you today, when I got on the board that first meeting, I knew nothing. And it's been a constant job of me learning what's going on. And I want to continue to do that because there's so much involved in being a school board member that you need to constantly be learning. And I want to challenge whoever does get on the board, come in with an open mind and be prepared to learn because there's a lot to do. On that note, have a great day.
Thank you all for coming, and we encourage everyone to stay for the board meeting afterwards if you'd like, but make sure to sign in. Thank you.